if it started. Okay, I think it's started now. So we're going to look at another type of age word problems. We're going to look at word problems when the thing that's different about these is when the number of years past or years in the future is our x. Okay? And we're going to use the same kind of table method to solve these. As I said, this is not the only way of solving these, but it is a good way because it really helps you to organize your thoughts. So I'm going to make a table with one row for each person, right? A row for Gary, a row for Joseph. Right here is going to be now. And here's kind of the trick with these problems. You kind of will see this problem coming. You'll know it's coming. Because as you're setting up your table, right, and you're reading through this problem, you don't know what to label this column. Normally, we labeled this column, if it was 10 years in the future, we'd say plus 10. If it said 3 years ago, we'd say minus 3. In this problem, it never tells us how far in the future or how long ago. So let's read the problem. Gary was 20 years old when Joseph was born. How old was Joseph when Gary's age was 20 years less than twice his age? So it's never telling us like in 10 years or in 30 years. So the key is to say plus x. And it actually doesn't matter if it's in the future or the past, because x could be a negative number. Right? We could potentially have a negative number for x. That would just tell us, oh, it's supposed to be in the past, not in the future. We do know the now column. We're going to pretend this is now. Gary was 20 years old when Joseph was born. We're going to pretend that's now, because we have the most information about it. So if Gary is 20, how old is Joseph? 0. Right? When you're born, you're 0 years old. Then I can fill out this chart. In x years, Gary will be 20 plus x years old, and Joseph will just be 0 plus x, or x years old. So now I'm going to use this column to fill in this, right? Gary's age was 20 years less than twice Joseph's age. Okay, so using this column, because this is saying, how old was Joseph? It's kind of saying, well, how long after he was born? Right? How many years later? We could say, how many years later was Gary's age 20 years less than twice Joseph's age? Okay. So, Gary's age is 20 plus x at this unknown time in the future. Was means equals. 20 years less than, we're going to write minus 20 over here, twice Joseph's age. So 2x minus 20 is kind of the way of saying all of this. Right? Now I just solve it. So I'm going to subtract x from both sides, and while I'm at it, I'll add 20 to both sides. 20 plus 20 is 40, right? And then 2x minus x is x. Those drop out, and those drop out. So 40 equals x. Now let's go back to the question. X is our number of years in the future, right? 40 years. The question is, how old was Joseph? Well, 40 years after he was born, he would be 40 years old, right?
Is this real?
Is this real?
Is this problem real?
Because it's actually Gary and Joseph.
Yeah, because Joseph's 40.
You could ask them. I'm not going to tell you. I won't tell you, and Gary would be 60 then, right? Alright. So the key with this setup again is the number of years later is our plus x, or our minus. I think that's enough actually. I don't think we need to do another example because other than that one step, these are very similar to the problems we did last week.